Hello guys, welcome back. If the gods grant me a miracle, god of the day is Tyr. I keep stumbling over this. I did a 11-minute video, should have given you that, but I didn't think it was good enough. Tyr's not a perfectionist as much as I am, but I'm like, I've got to do my very best because the old man has been pushing me all day, so I want to get this right. So, we've talked about Tyr before, so we know all about him, but if you're new to the channel, Tyr is the god that was responsible in the binding of Fenrir. So he's considered the ultimate god of truth, justice, and upholding the law. Obviously, a lot of people that work with Fenrir, he's not their favorite god, and same thing for Loki, but I've never noticed Fenrir or Loki to have a problem with him. Tyr does what Tyr has to uphold the law. Now, he's not going to be unjust to uphold the law, but he can be astonishingly harsh, as people have realized. If you make an oath, he's considered to be the god to come over and make sure you uphold that oath. If you've promised to do something for the gods and you honestly forget, that's one thing. But if you've promised to do something for the gods and you willfully don't do it, like you promised you would buy Loki, a beer or something, and you decide when you're out, oh, I see this other thing, I want more, and you buy that and you don't get Loki's beer, Tyr might actually be the one to come and say, hey, that's not justice, that's not right, you made a promise to your god, you'll uphold your word. He was the god of the thing, the assembly, like everybody saw in Vikings, he was the god of that. So he would be the god to, people would go to, and, perhaps we only have fragments left, seek justice. Like, you would go to Thor to seek justice. So think more Thor and a lot less Odin, though they both are war gods. Some people feel, in a lot of its speculation, that he was the original Germanic god, Germanic being a group of people, not just Germany. And he would have been like the original sky god, and he would have been, some people swear up, down, and sideways, depending on the name and spelling you use, that he was a very kind, loving, nurturing god who gave to his people with both hands, because they do not hold to the Norse stories. And they say that is the true face of Tyr, as this loving, giving deity who's connected to fertility in the fields and the harvest. You can form your own opinions, work with Tyr, and see what you want to do. I've noticed he does seem to attract a lot of people that do need healing, and at times those people write articles, and the less we see of that, the better. I hope they get their healing, but I would say, in my experience, Tyr is not disgruntled, and he's not the god of feeling sorry for yourself. He's not going to sit there and cry because he has one hand. If I'm, not wanting to do videos for whatever reason because I'm full of pain, or, my nystagmus is acting up even more, so my eyes are going like this, or my tremors are really bad, and I got all this problems going on, Tyr's the one to be like, no, you gotta do this. I know it hurts, I know you're sore, I know you're tired, I know you're everything, but you gotta do this. But people will be looking at me. I don't care. You get in there and you do your job, and Tyr will be the one to make you get up. Odin was trying to prod me all day, and I just couldn't get any inspiration. Partly because of Loki trick, and I got thrown off track. And partially because I couldn't think of who to do, and Odin kept saying, isn't it obvious, isn't it obvious? So I'm like, we've already done Odin. Do you want me to do Thor? Baldur? Because nothing was coming to me. He meant Tyr. Tyr can be a little distant and cold with me if we haven't worked together for a while, but then once he sees he's getting proper respect and he's happy with how all the other gods are being treated, he's far more warm and loving. He's the god that I think I've said before will help me through panic attacks and help me when I'm having a very bad day, like say emotionally or physically. That's why he's so good with veterans. He's like, I know you're in pain. I know it hurts, but you gotta move. Think of being on the battlefield. You gotta move. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. So he will treat you like he would treat a soldier. If you watch a lot of military videos or whatever, you'll notice there's this kind of nurturing but tough, energy in a lot of the leaders of, they can't coddle you, obviously, because you're in the middle of a damn war, but they do have to show enough care and get you to safety, and they do have to push you. So they gotta be tough enough to push you, but they do have to show, some at least the best leaders. Let's leave Patton out of this. They do have to show some compassion, and they do have a love and a fierce compassion for their men. If you read a lot of military chronicles, a lot of generals consider the men, because they're usually boys, they consider those boys their sons, and they're fiercely protective and devoted to their children. Women too now, so they're fiercely protective of their children. I get that idea from Tyr that if he's decided you're one of his soldiers, so to speak, it has nothing to always do with fighting, but if he's decided you're one of his and he's going to come around every so often and keep tabs on you, and if you're going the wrong direction, he's going to get your attention, and if you're not spending enough time with Tyr or any other god, he's going to get your attention. But once he has it and he thinks you're doing well, he'll be fine. He's the only god I've ever seen that, other than, like, say, Frigga, will counterman Odin, because Odin, remember, is Odin. And sometimes Odin will be leading me wherever Odin wants to, and that's his right because he's one of my two main deities. But Tyr will be like, no, no, I have as much claim as the rest of you. This is where she's going. So sometimes it's very interesting, and sometimes Odin will just shrug and back off, and other times Odin's very obstinate and is like, no. And then you'll get this sense of two gods are looking at you, waiting for you to decide. And it depends. I try to fall on Tyr's side since we don't work as much together, and there's no sense antagonizing him and babying Odin, because I let Odin get away with murder and I know it. But also because Tyr's been a good friend to me, and he's the one that's helped me through tough spots with Loki and Fenrir. And he's the one that's helped me through tough spots with Odin, and if there are days when I'm just losing it, Tyr will show up. So if you have some kind of stress disorder, if you anxiety or panic attacks, he's a really good god to work with. He doesn't seem to care too much about whether or not he gets an altar. I think it's more of what are you comfortable doing? If somebody's going through a lot of trauma from having been in a war or, going through something else, maybe the last thing they can handle right now is an altar. It's more, I've always gotten the idea, this is more for you than me. What do you need? He does have a temple in VR for me, but he's like, this is actually for you. This is your place to come talk to me. I don't need this, but this is your place to come talk to me because this will calm you down. And of course, it's like the forest and there are wolves everywhere, so I love it. And it actually does instantly calm me down. So in a way, he's a healer as well. He can patch you up and he can be actually very calm and loving in his own way. It's not going to be Loki loving, usually. It's not usually going to be like that, but he does the best he can. He does the best he can. Think of a soldier coming back from the war and doing the best he can to integrate in society. Most days are good, but there are going to be those bad days too. I got, oh, that's very good back here, so I think I'm doing okay. Original video, like I said, was a lot longer, but any of the lore, anything you can look up, like you can look up the Binding of Fenrir. And I think that was a metaphor, honestly, for the old gods being replaced by the new gods, because I've never gotten any hostility between Fenrir and Tyr, and I've never gotten any hostility between Loki and Tyr, though Loki's always gonna fall on his brother's side, but it's like there's nothing I feel like hostility between them. I think a lot of Tyr's people, and forgive me for this, but I'm just, as you read Tyr's articles, you tend to run into a lot of Tyrsmen. A lot of them tend to be bitter towards Loki, towards Fenrir, towards Odin, and it's like, that's not who your fight is with, hun. Your fight is actually with yourself. And I can tell you, because Loki was the one that knocked the chip off my shoulder, and Loki would just fucking punch you in the shoulder, knock your shoulder off, and be like, there, chip's gone. They would be a lot better letting Tyr remove it than to have one of the other gods show up, but, I've just noticed that I'm sure there are decent kind Tyr's people, but they're probably too hard at work doing the right thing, working with veterans, doing whatever they need to do to, be going around the interweb starting fights. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and all of our love and respect to the veterans. We are thankful for your service. And it's just it's a thing. We have, like, the Veterans Day in this country, and we have Memorial Day, and we have, like, kind of, if at least in my part of America, all the days get blended. So every day, regardless of what it's called, if it's called Veterans Day or Memorial Day, it'll be both. You'll celebrate those who served and you'll celebrate those who died in combat. So if I tend to get my terms confused or I tell you the wrong holiday, that's why. It's like in this town it would be both. It would be, well, in the old days we used to have the parades, for the veterans, and then you would have, things at the cemetery to celebrate those who, fell in battle and such forth and such not. So I hope you guys enjoy that. We're going to, kind of wrap stuff up here. I want to try to get this up on the day of. So if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.